for people to be saved. 2 Chronicles 20 verse 9 says, "We will stand before the temple and in your presence, for your name is in this temple, and cry out to you in our affliction, and you will hear and save." There was a man named John Hyde who said, "Oh God, give me souls or I die." John Hyde was an American missionary who ministered in what is today northern India and Pakistan back in the early 1900s. Today, he's known as Praying Hyde. In 1896, Hyde traveled around to many villages in the Punjab area, and he wrote, "This year there were no conversions in the villages. There were last year. What is the reason?" And so his solution to the fact that there were no conversions was to fall to his knees in prayer. He began to cry out for God for lost souls. Hyde often prayed all day long and through the night. Foregoing food and sleep, he was often seen crying as he prayed, "Oh God, give me souls or I die." Hyde's passion for prayer led to the formation of the Punjab Prayer Union. Their goal was to dedicate themselves to praying for revival. Hyde saw a need to encourage and train pastors, so he invited a group of local pastors to the city of Sialkot for a convention in 1904. Before the first meeting, Hyde spent 30 days on his face before God in prayer. Because of the prayer-saturated environment, there was a great outpouring of God's Spirit on that conference. Many confessed their sins and pledged themselves to seek God. At the Sialkot convention in following years, there was great brokenheartedness for sin and a burden for lost souls. One brother who attended the convention in Sialkot describes what he saw. He says, "Oh, what an awful vision I have had. Thousands of souls in this land being carried away by the dark river of sin. They are in hell now. Oh, to snatch them from the fire before it is too late." In 1908, John Hyde announced at the Sialkot Convention that he was believing for at least one soul to be saved every single day. He asked God not just for a seeker, but a soul saved, ready to confess Christ in public and be baptized in his name. In a nation where some churches went years without any conversions, many thought that his goal was impossible. But John Hyde began to pray and travel and preach, and he encouraged those who worked with him to find lost sheep. One of his friends reported that Hyde would engage a man in a talk about his salvation. By and by, he would have his hands on the man's shoulders, be looking him very earnestly in the eye, and soon Hyde would get the man on his knees, confessing his sins and seeking salvation. Such a one he would baptize in the village, by the roadside, or anywhere. By the end of that first year, over 400 new believers had been baptized. In 1909, John Hyde asked God for an even more audacious request. He wanted 2 souls to be saved every day. If the daily quota was not filled, his response was to stay up all night in prayer, crying out for God to give him souls. As he focused on soul winning, he found himself drawing closer to the heart of God. He preached, "When we keep near to Jesus, it is He who draws souls to Himself through us." That second year, over 800 people were saved. And at the Sialkot Convention in 1910, the vision was enlarged once again. That year, Hyde set a goal of leading at least 4 people to Jesus every day in what is Pakistan and northern India. His example challenged other pastors and missionaries. Some ministries that had experienced years of little or no fruit suddenly saw hundreds of people coming into the kingdom of God. Much of what God has done in Pakistan and northern India in the past 100 years can be traced directly back to the original Sialkot Convention in the prayers of the man named John Hyde. A couple of years ago, I was invited to speak at the Sialkot Convention. It continues to this day. And the majority of the Christians in northern India and Pakistan trace their spiritual heritage all the way back to the Sialkot Convention and John Hyde praying these prayers. They said that John Hyde would pray so much that his knees looked like the knees of a camel. He would sit down beside his bed, kneel on the floor, and he would begin to pray all night long. And so when I went to the Seattle Convention, I saw the place where he used to pray. And there were actually a indentation there in the dirt where John Hyde used to pray so much. He would pray all the time for souls to be saved. And so I think that we should pray for souls to be saved. I believe that if you will get enthusiastic about praying for souls to be saved, that God will answer your prayer and you will see many people be saved through your prayers. So today I encourage you, pray for souls to be saved.